He's getting cloned because he's going really quick. Okay. So I can really think of an intro to talk about this, but okay. So I recently started Katawa Shoujo. Not really releasing it anymore. I think it's been like a month or two, maybe 2 months. But yeah, Katawa Shoujo. It in Japanese, I think it just means disabled girls or just something less. Check. Something less of a direct translation to that, but yeah, it's a fully like I guess American like English made visual novel, and wait, let me check. Yeah, disability girls. Obviously, yeah, it means something less of a common term, and if you actually directly translate it. But yeah, that's that. So, I guess as a preface to Katawa Shoujo, I think it is quite spectacular that 4chan made a game this good. Like, oh, it's actually good? Whoa. First of all, visual novel was yucky. I want to talk about visual novels in general first. I've talked about Tsukihime, Mihoyo on this channel, but I do think visual novels are not a form of literature. But they are a very, very valid form of media. To the point, I do think, like, a good visual novel could, comfortably beat a good, maybe a good book in some cases. Different mediums, of course. They want to compare apples and oranges. Visual novels are a visual medium, but they do a lot with like stories. Also, like most visual novels are not like prose heavy because they're translated. Katawa Shoujo does not have like any fantastic prose. Okay, let's be honest. It's made by 4chan. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it could definitely use a little bit more commas sometimes. So. Since visual novels, I think, are a fantastic medium. More people should read into them if they're not like weirded out by they're weirded out by like visual novel things. Then I'd say you're lost kind of thing. But okay, so Katawa Shoujo, it was free on Steam, but I don't even get the Steam version. I just got like the random online version on the internet because I don't know. I didn't want to show people I was playing Katawa Shoujo on Steam. Whatever. That aside. That's preface. That's the preface done. I want to talk about the first route I got into, and I'll talk about the second route I got into, which I liked a lot more. So, okay. First route I got into, okay, I'm a Rin fan, but Emmy was my first route. So, what do I think about Emmy? She's a very, well, I'm just describing what she is, but I think she's a very, she's a very fun character, I would say, throughout her first route. I think the visual novel, first of all, is... It looks fine. The first thing I noticed, like, in terms of presentation, is that the CGs, the event CGs, are very, very different from the sprites, which is really funny. And you can obviously tell the event CGs and sprite CGs are written by different people, or I mean, drawn by different people. And besides that, I don't have really complaints of the presentation in terms of like, the game. It's a visual novel, okay? I don't ask for a lot, but Katawa Shoujo. And Emmy's route, I feel like Emmy was a nice introduction because I do think Emmy's route is a bit more basic. It's like there's not much like things to delve into. It's just you meet Emmy, you get to know her. Hisao gets to know her, and then Hisao kind of I guess questions about her past, that kind of thing. Right? I'm gonna spoil obviously. Like here's the mark to say I don't want to be spoiled about Katawa Shoujo, like a 12-year-old. Visual novel, like how old is Katawa Shoujo? I think it was released in 2012. 12-year-old. Let's see. Yeah, 2012. It's been 14 years. Crazy. So it's like a 14-year-old visual novel. I do think spoiling it is okay. I think it was a little basic, and although it was a little basic about like her dad died in an accident. And Hisao gets her, like, Hisao has to really earn Emmy's respect. And Emmy's respect and, like, willingness to, I guess, be open to him. I think that was the central part of the route, right? The central part of the route is that Emmy's making it really, really hard for Hisao to get closer to her, on purpose. Very big difference between this and Ren, on purpose. Because Emmy's not, like... She's athletic. She's more of an athletic person, right? But she's also like very, I guess, pussyfooting around. No, footing. Yeah, she's always like trying to circle around the question of what makes her uncomfortable most of the time of the year. This time of the year, right? Because her dad died during this time of the year, and so it takes a decent amount of the root for Hassan to kind of like have to pry deeper and try and pry deeper to try and care more about her. So, and I think it's an interesting development that happened. Well, it's mostly just like he goes on to run with her, and I feel like I got the Emmy route first because I try not to like I was trying to get some exercise. Obviously his heart thing is weighing on his mind, and I guess one notable thing in the route is that I kind of the note he gets from his old like crush Hasal, he throws it away like on the first thing, and he comes back and like looks at it later. It really highlights the difference between him in Emmy's route and him as in Rinman's. Right? He's more spontaneous. He's more like, oh, this thing happened, or I'm gonna move forward immediately after. That's what he does in Emmy's route, precisely because Emmy like rubs off in that way. I feel like I just finished Rin's route, but like after like in retrospect, I do feel like Emmy's route is like, oh, I didn't notice that the first time around, or I didn't read it, but such and such. Yeah. Emmy's a really really fun character. She's really energetic. She has a certain kind of like energy that even after like Hisao romances her and dates her, I do think her energy is it being so like upbeat. Her energy doesn't really change. It's just her I guess it's her priorities that change. Well, with more like Hisao's perspective on the priorities that change. Because Emmy is very like Emmy is a little bit off-putting. Not I wouldn't say distant. She's very close with Hisao, both physically and mentally, but in the sense that like she wants to give Hisao exactly what she wants to show him. Yeah, and that changes by the end, like of the good end, in which like she finally accepts him. Yeah, I'll tell you about everything. I'll confide in you. I'll be comfortable with you. It's nice. It's nice. Yeah, and the neutral end, it's just okay. I mean, it's the neutral end. Like things just kind of get called off immediately after. What else? Oh yeah, the H scenes. Well, let's talk about things explicit. I think the H scenes in Katawa Shoujo are actually pretty good. Not as in like, oh, I can goon to this. I'm not really that kind of person to goon to visual novels. Okay, I'm not that bad, but like it's not like a Type Moon visual novel where like one of those H scenes come up and you're like, oh, there's an H scene in a Type Moon visual novel. I gotta. It's not like that. In Katawa Shoujo, I don't know how 4chan cooked up like this kind of stuff in Katawa Shoujo. It's not. I wouldn't say it's like. I don't think any H scene in a visual novel is tasteful by any means, but Katawa Shoujo, I would say, not only do I look forward to it, I also look forward to like the developments that happen within it. Unlike Fates Night, where like, oh, perhaps this H scene is necessary to the plot. But you know what? I don't care because the way it's written is so bad. Okay, in Katawa Shoujo, I think they're written in a way that like, oh, it makes sense with all the like characters' personality that they do this kind of thing right now. Like in Katawa Shoujo, if you read the visual novel, you know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the shed. Terrible things happen there. But again, all to add to the things of what makes Katawa Shoujo quite special. It has good H scenes in a way, and yeah, it's really a wonder how they made this visual novel, like 4chan, crazy. And I guess now I'll listen to things I didn't really like that much about Emmy's Route. What I said in the beginning, Emmy's Route is a little bit bare bones in terms of like complexity. And I'm like, oh, dude, you're asking about complexity about in a visual novel about disabled girls. I'm like, yeah, and I'm not saying like it's a clear-cut visual novel, especially in Emmy's Route. It's certainly just like more like a generic romance story, which is fine. It's nothing about self-discovery, that kind of thing. It's more like, oh, helping each other out, like to get over your past traumas, that kind of thing. That's fine. It's kind of like I wouldn't say boring. I would say conventional. It's a conventional love story, which is not bad. Completely fine. But I do think like the fact that he ended Emmy's route in the good end with like with an H scene is really really funny, and it ends it like terminates the route right after that. It's a little abrupt. It's what I'm talking about. The route being a little like bare bones, go basic. Like right after that, it's like oh, it's happy ever after. And yeah, it really just puts the assumption that like oh, like Emmy and Hisao have to be happy after that. After that, it's obviously the assumption that like if you made the right choices. And I want to talk about choices in Katawa Shoujo. I do not think they are like. I don't think they are like particularly diverging. Like they're not particularly hard choices. Like if you choose the right choices that seem to be like oh the one that like is fit for a normal human being, especially in Emmy's route. I got Emmy's a good end first try. It really wasn't that hard. Rin's route is a separate like issue. I'm gonna have to talk about later, but yeah, Katawa Rin's route, Emmy's route. I liked. It was okay. It was alright. I liked reading through it, and this might be the best like introductory route, like because I think first of all, Emmy is a character that isn't like that hard to get. The other characters, there's always like either like in terms of personality, in terms of like disability, there's something that like I feel like readers might not be keen to like. They have to like get to know, right? Get to know. With Emmy, like the game makes it very clear that they're not very exploitative. Pretty awesome, Katawa Shoujo team, right? And Emmy like is a pretty normal person. She's just really like energetic and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with her, really. Like she's kind of like really rude to himself sometimes. She's like he's huffing over his and then Emmy's like, hey heartbeater, why don't you run faster so your heart beats faster? And then like yeah, it is physically it is the route where Saul gets his best treats. It's also the only route I hear that where he gets his science career kind of uplifted. Like thanks Muto. That's his teacher. Like dude just chilling. I don't think he's a good teacher, but nothing such. And especially I guess in the route where Hisao decides to like make himself better physically, it's also the route that he kind of pursues his interests a little more in a determined way. Much like Emmy. I really like how Katawa Shoujo shows very clear how each of the heroines like rub off Hisao from at least from the two routes I've seen. So as an introduction to Katawa Shoujo, it was great. It's probably not my favorite route at all. Like from the two routes I've read, there's one I prefer immensely more, and it's not Emmy's route. But I liked Emmy's route. I know a lot of people love Emmy's route, but to me, I want a little more. I want a little more in terms of like not even just melodrama. I just want to like talk about like the characters more, right? And obviously, you talk about Emmy a lot, but it's just not in the way. I just want an unconventional love story, okay? Pretty obvious. So, there we go. I would suggest you read Katawa Shoujo. It's a great visual novel. If you can't read through H scenes, you know, like a real degenerate, then I guess you can skip them. But yeah, I have a lot to talk about. Rin's route. I'm gonna record that right after this. But just so you know, Katawa Shoujo, I don't think it really matters what route you have as your first route, especially in terms of like impact, because you don't know which route could be most impactful to you, right? I decided to go Emmy and then Rin. I didn't use a guide. I just kind of like figured out. Oh, I could probably get this route by like being mean to everyone. I could probably get this route by being nice to this person. Obviously, I don't think it's a hard visual novel to navigate through, except Rin's route. It Rin's route for some reason. But yeah, Emmy's route, Katawa Shoujo. I don't give ratings. I liked it. Please do read Katawa Shoujo. It is a really just a fascinating story made by a fascinating group of people. it seems like an impossible story to have written, especially in the form of a visual novel. They take a lot to make, you know. But yeah, I appreciate it a lot. And there you go. You are Katawa Shoujo.